This episode of Cessler Something is brought to you by the National Campaign Against Drunk Driving. Drive sober or get pulled over. All right, everyone, this is my last topical Cessler Something for 2013. I'm going to take some time off. We're going to pre-record some episodes with Q&As in them, so there will be a Cessler Something. I'll just be speaking from the past, that's all. So one thing I definitely want to discuss is what happened last week involving YouTube and videos and the copyright claims. We had a fascinating address to SAS, and I want to once again thank everyone who was involved in getting that together at the last minute. It was a very enlightening discussion, and for me, I really wanted to do it because I didn't have a full picture of what was going on. All I knew is something was happening, and it was bad. Still, I'm not 100% clear on some things, but what it really seems to come down to is videos that are out there involving extended clips and content from video games are getting hit with copyright claims, not on the games themselves in most instances, but on the music, on the other aspects that go together in putting a game. So it could be even a sound effect, something that small. There is a license holder out there, and when YouTube sort of changed its policies and broadened the category of videos and content providers that could be flagged for these infractions, it really kind of opened up a hornet's nest. The thing is, actually, using a video game analogy, it's almost like a sleeping beast has been awoken, and I know there's a lot of interest out there in trying to change it and trying to see what the laws can do, but I don't want to be a downer here, but I'm losing confidence that there's any clear and effective resolution, especially in the short term and maybe in the long term, because the problem is what's happening is legal. These people do have a legal claim in most instances to this content, and that's not going to change. I know there's been a lot of interest in seeing if there might be some means of changing copyright law to deal with what is kind of the changing landscape of how media is used. And while I think that's a great idea, the cynic in me realizes that I don't somehow see politicians working in favor of the little guy because they're getting the influence from the people that own those copyrights. And one thing that I would highlight is that the idea of something entering the public domain, which is supposed to happen like 80 years or so after something has been created, that time frame has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's one company in particular that benefits from that, and that's Disney. Because as you might know, Mickey Mouse hasn't entered the public domain, but based upon the laws, say, 10 years ago, it should have already happened. It really, unfortunately, stuff like copyright, it does favor the people who own the copyright. Having said that, I don't want to see these videos go away, and maybe there will be some resolution. Maybe Google has some idea up their sleeve. The one other thing that I would compel people to do is let's stop calling these Let's Play videos. I have no problem with the content of people playing a game. That's not the issue I have. It's the term Let's Play. It doesn't sound serious enough. And it sounds like sort of we as a community are saying like, hey, protect our Let's Play videos. It sounds, well, kind of throwaway, kind of incidental. And this really is not just people's livelihoods, but a very important way of showing games, showing gameplay, sharing that sense of gaming experiences. This is why most publishers and like most people out there that are part of the game industry see them as something positive. But in trying to once again get that conversation going with people that aren't attuned to what happens in video game and video game culture, I just don't see Let's Play is perking up anyone's ears and understanding how serious this situation has become. All right, it is the end of the year. It's the holiday season, which means there's plenty of reasons to go out and celebrate. But be warned, this holiday season, cops are on a mission to protect the streets from drunk drivers. If you're out at a party and you think it's okay to get behind the wheel after you've had a few drinks, you will not be able to hide from the consequences. You might face jail time, court costs, loss of license, and you'll definitely embarrass yourself or worse. Or just be smart and designate a sober driver or take a cab. Last year, over 10,000 people were killed by drunk drivers. Believe me, even if you're close to home or you think you're okay, you're not. Don't put yourself or others at risk. It's not worth it. You might think you'll get away with it this holiday season, but you won't. All right, so yes, this is my final week here in the office for 2013. So what does that mean? That's list time. The best of 2013, the best of the generation, the worst of the generation, and all those kind of things. Philosophically, as you know, I'm not a huge fan of scores, and I'm not the biggest fan of lists, but I do like lists. In this case, I just don't like ranking them because I will not be completely ranking everything that I put on my list. Just so you know, our process has been everyone on Red 3 Games was allowed to put their list together. There was no set number that you had to have. You were not required to say which was better than another one. It really is trying to deal with the philosophy of what deserves acclaim. What were those games throughout the year that just did something special enough that you want to say, hey, I'm holding this up for admiration, and to encourage people out there that haven't gotten to experience these games to go ahead and do that. Of course, there will be a lot of acrimony and bitterness that somebody's favorite game didn't get on the list, but no, that's how I like to look at games of the year. And you know, when I was putting mine together, it'll be going up later this week, I realized this was a very, very good year for games. When you consider how long the life cycle of this generation was, to have that much innovation and that much quality, and then the huge changes that happened in the indie game scene as well, this is, I think, one of the best years for games. Yes, we had a lot of those cookie cutter games and ones that were just sort of unimpressive sequels that seemed to be retreading the same ground, you know, our Gods of Wars, our Gears of Wars, our Crises, but put that by the wayside and look at the good ones. It's an amazing variety. The quality of the product is impressive. And then on the indie game scene, you saw something that everyone really admired, putting out what is by far some of the best games of the year. And I think you'll see that reflected on many of our lists. And so at the end of the day, I have to say 2013, for all of its problems, might be one of my favorite years for games ever.